Hi, I am doing this video for a class that I am currently taking. The class is ED616 Curriculum Development and Evaluation. There are two things that I will be touching on today. One thing is briefly discussing what planned curriculum, implemented curriculum, and hidden curriculum are, and then going into a little bit about what strategies teachers can use to make sure that they are teaching the curriculum, make sure their students are learning, and then some assessments that can be done along the way. So I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about planned curriculum, and this is simply a curriculum that is planned to provide students with learning opportunities that are of good quality. So this is your lesson planning. It has well-defined goals. It has the steps that you are going to take in order to ensure that your students are learning the objectives correctly. The next one is implemented curriculum, and this is what you're going to do to teach the curriculum to your students. How are you going to implement it? What are you going to do? How are you going to teach it? What's going to take place? And then hidden curriculum is not necessarily what comes from reading a textbook or even making a lesson plan for it. It's just the skills that your students learn while spending time in your classroom, such as behavior, morals, values. Hopefully, if these things are done correctly and effectively, then your students will walk away with a positive role model in their lives. And so, teachers really do make an impact. They have an impact on their students. So we need to really make sure that we do it correctly because we always have children who are watching us to see what we're going to do. The next thing that I would really want to talk about is a couple ways to ensure that your students are learning the curriculum. One thing is, and this kind of goes along with making sure that you're teaching the curriculum, is you need to make sure that you are prepared. You need to make sure that you go in, you study up on the curriculum that you have to teach. You know exactly what you're going to do. You know what your objectives are. You know if you have a pacing guide, what you're going to do. And it's just being knowledgeable, looking up resources, joining clubs, talking with other people who teach the same subject that you do, just becoming knowledgeable on what you are going to teach, because in the end, no one wants to have their face stuck in a book teaching their students. We want to be confident in what we're doing so that our students feel confident in what they're learning. Next is we want to be able to be willing to adapt our instruction to the needs of our students. If we see that something that we are teaching is not reaching our students, then we need to be able to change it up a little bit and go with plan B. So there's always, it's always a good idea to have something else planned, because not always the first thing will work. We also need to make sure that we engage our students. If we have a student who is bored, if we see students who are trying to fall asleep, if we see students who are just not interested in what we're teaching, then sometimes we may have to pull out something outside of our hat that's not necessarily in our plans. It could be telling a story, relating something to real life, having students do think pair share, having them discuss with their friends. It could be hands-on activities. Whatever it takes to make sure that our students are learning is what we as teachers need to do. We also need to make sure that we reteach any materials that we need to our students after assessing. If we see that we still have a student that is not grasping the materials, then we need to make sure that we reteach it. Sometimes some teachers may want to reteach the whole lesson if they have time again to the class, just to make sure that the class gets it as kind of like an overview. Sometimes our students may need a little bit more. We may need to pull them to the side and to give them a little bit more of one-on-one attention to make sure that they grasp it. But we need to make sure that we're constantly assessing to make sure that our students are getting what they need. And when I say assessing constantly, I don't mean, okay, let's give them 20 questions and a 5-page paper to write. I mean, just doing simple things. It could be giving them exit ticket and asking them a question. It could be a quiz with one question on it. It could be, again, think, pair, share. It could be asking them to reflect on what they've learned or summarize what they've learned. It could be open-ended questions, whatever we need to do to make sure and to see if our students are grasping the skills we need to do. We also, one of the things that I do as a teacher is I reflect on what I teach. So I keep a journal, a personal journal, and after each lesson, I kind of write in my journal if the lesson worked well, what I saw that didn't go so well, and how do I plan to change it? Do I want to use the lesson? Do I want to change it up? Do I want to do something different? So it's good to reflect on your lesson so that when you teach it again another year, you can hopefully avoid some of the things that may have happened when you taught it the first time. It's also a really good idea to make sure as a teacher that that you are always, as far as curriculum, whatever it is that you're teaching, get in there and try to find out as much as you can about it. Join an organization that focuses on what you're teaching. Hang out with other people who are teaching what you teach so that you can talk about some things that you're using in your room and some strategies. Use online resources. There are millions of different things out there that teachers can get into. Research. Get into groups. Facebook groups are really good. So anything where you can talk with other teachers who are teaching what you're teaching, that would be beneficial. Go above and beyond when learning the curriculum. Spend some time reading it, going through it, looking at the objectives, looking at the goals. Make sure that you fully understand what it is that you need to do. And relate anytime that you can. Relate whatever it is that you're teaching to something that the child has seen or will see in real life. That helps to build on prior knowledge that the student has, and it also makes it a little bit more real. And just don't forget why you are teaching. The whole reason that you got into teaching was to work with students and to help them learn. And that should be your number one goal when working with students. So I hope I was able to give you guys some strategies that you can take away and hopefully use in your own classroom. Thanks.